Alright guys, so you want to know how you make the wheel center? Got my helper here. On the side of the picture there. Okay, you want to know how you get these centered? You go like this. You mark it here. And you mark it here with your tape. You don't even need to have like it to be perfectly level or square.
Oh, you have it on record.
Yeah, it's on record. So then you find that's the center. So now I'll cut out my patch. Hold on, Thomas. Let's not get in the camera. Hold on. All right, so go ahead. Don't photobomb. Yeah, my grandson's such a ham. Okay, so if I cut out my patch like this, all right, I cut right through the tape. And then you come down, whatever, where I cut. I'll have this piece of tape here, that piece of tape there, that, and I just complete the square. Then I just drill right in the middle. That's what I need for my hole. So that's how you do that. If you're doing a patch over a hole, you can use. I'm using tape because I don't want to paint. Put marker here or marker there. Where I'm gonna have it bleed through the paint. So I'll just use tape and hopefully nobody will take them off. You never know. And then if that happens, you just measure it. Do it the old-fashioned way, but this is easier. You're just gonna clamp her down and cut it right out with the plasma cutter. Jive fan, link in the description. Works great, super small, really inexpensive to buy. Alright, so I'm just going to set this on here, and then where it's lined up flat, I'm going to butt weld it here. Just going to tack it in and then push it wherever I need to go. Tack it in again, work my way along, tack it in. Okay, and then I'll pull the magnets off once I get a couple tacks on here. Then I'll just start lining it up and then tacking it along here. Okay, getting it all in place, tacking it in, and then the bottom edge I can either cut through 2 layers or just one and just go along here and clean this up or whatever and then finish it out. But you got to remember, this is curved this direction and this direction, so I'm going to have a point when it's going to start to fight me right in here somewhere. So what I'll do is when I get to that point, I'll just cut a relief cut in it. I just go put a cut in here, it'll want to fill that gap in, and then it'll just kind of fall into place. You'll see later. You just got to think ahead a little bit. I could cut the cuts now, but I'd just rather do it while it might go in without it. It might just be able to pound it into place and it'll kind of work. I did stretch this a little bit to try and help it find a way, but this is the sort of way you do patch like this with butt welding. All right, let's look at what's, after this dries here, while that's drying, let's look at what's going on underneath here. I'll take it out. Well, it was only just a solid inch of Bondo, and what kind of metalwork they did here at all. Look at that, just was flattened down, and you can get right into it. I'm not sure why they did that, but either it was they just didn't have a conscience, or they didn't know what they're doing, or a little of both. So anyway, we'll just see what we can do with that. Well, if that works. I have to kind of get it somewhere where I get some movement out further into the middle of the dent. Kind of work my way in from the outside. There it goes. That's one hit. Let's see where I'm at. There, go up. There we go. A little movement there. I guess I'll have to work that off camera. I need two hands. I have to give this a little more push, and then I can see where it's moving and try and work my way from the outside to the middle. If you try and just go from the middle, sometimes it won't move. So a little easier to get it from the outside. Bring it in. That's definitely a little better. It's going to be less than 1/4 of an inch, so we're going to call it good. Get a little sand, found one little spot there, got a little low there. Let's go ahead and sand that out. Got a little glazing on that. We're going to move to the front. All right, I got to tell you, well, I got to tell you, this is probably the best welder I've ever used for butt welding. It's pretty easy. It's with the .030 wire. This is just something new. I've never really done this before. I've always had, if I use .030, I'll end up burning through every time, every welder I've ever used. So this is pretty neat. Anyway, I'll grind this down. This is just cleaned up, and then you can see there's mounting spots in it, pretty tight for a butt weld. And we'll grind this down, and I got a little bit. What happens is, the only reason it's not perfect looking is because I can't see. So like right in here, I was like stacking dimes, okay? And then what happens is I miss, okay? Then I go over the same spot again because I move the tip over towards that area, towards this part, and then I hit there because I just can't see. I got to be up closer, right where the camera's at, and I'll be in the, you'll look at my helmet instead of looking at weld. So anyway, I can probably do a better job if I didn't have to keep you guys in the video here. So anyway, I'm going to do the rest of this welding here. The camera overheated, so I had to stop, and I'll grind this down real quick. We'll take a look at it. All right, so I made this piece here. I just put a bunch of holes in the bottom. I'm probably not going to use them all. I'm just going to clamp it in. And what I did is I just used the shrinker along the, I bent that L, then I used the shrinker along here. Can't really film back in there, but here's what it fits like. Now it fits like this. I'm just going to have to butt it in here. So I'm going to start with my butt edge, if you can see that. Get it lined up, and then pull it in the rest of the way. And then I can either cut right here and then bring that in to the butt there, or I can just, probably what I'll probably do is just tighten it down really good and just lap it and then just weld the whole top edge. And what I'll do is just, that'll help me with a little grind edge. I'll just grind it all down, and then it'll look more like this rounded corner. I've already got the round there, but it might go out just a little bit, mound out just a little bit, but it's down so low on the body you won't really see it. So anyway, we're just going to go ahead and start butting that in. Check it out. Let's take a look here. What we got, this all lapped over here and then tapped it down after I got it welded, and then got that edge to be similar to this. Once I put a little bit of, just a little tiny bit of filler on there, and then get rid of that seam a little bit, clean this up. This was kind of rough back in here anyway. These were spot welds, remember, if before, so, and we're just going to finger fill that a little bit, sand it, you know, get rid of that. I can't even get in there with a grinder, so maybe with the finger sander I can. I think I tried already and I didn't get very well with even that. So yeah, it's no big deal. It's just a little inner panel. This outer stuff is fixed. We'll lap, tap, and fill over here. On the other side, we got still one more repair. I spot welded under here. Looks pretty good. So once that's filled up, it's down so low. You're spending a lot of time on this already, and you're just, the cost benefit, you know, isn't that great when you're not going to see it with it this low. So anyway, go on to the next repair. I mean, this thing could snowball. I could just replace this whole thing. I don't know. We're not doing that. So I didn't figure to do that. We're just going to fix these holes. So anyway, this could go on and on and on. I bet you anything, it go behind here and there's thin spots all over that thing, because you never know. I mean, it didn't look like it from the inside, but who knows? We're not restoring it. We're just kind of fixing the stuff that's bad. Again, this one has the same problem, but it kind of goes up into this panel. And it's like if you try and replace up into here, get a roll metal around that corner. You know, I don't know where I'm going to stop on that. I'm to try to keep it from snowballing into a massive repair. So we're going to just cut out what's bad here and just look at it. And then we'll see what we got to do over here. Tried a few things and finally figured this would get in there. Don't like to use it because it's so loud, but I just cut this straight across here. And then if you can see, what I did is, because grinding in a corner is like near impossible, so I cut halfway through this because there's no way I'd replicate that edge. It's just not going to look the same because it just rolls over about halfway and is real finished looking. So I figured I would just cut into the corner here. I can weld that up, even if it's a bit of a gap. I've got this metal behind it, right? So yeah, I could just weld that up real good right there. It'll look good. I'll make it go in here and then bend it. Hopefully I can get that bend in there. That's the tricky thing. I think I can get that with even with duckbill pliers if I got to. So I'll just make a piece that goes along here, maybe this tall, right, up as high as this is, square, or like yeah, square, it doesn't matter, just gonna make it, or like here, like a rectangle piece. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll make it from here all the way over to here, right? I don't know if you can see my finger, from here all the way to here. And then what I'll do is just set it on there and then just trace it from the other side, right? And then it'll tell you kind of roughly, and just cut it from there, and then lay it on here, then figure this angle, and then once I get that angle figured out, then I'll bend it, and I'll bend the bottom edge, and then I'll shrink this part to make the corner. Kind of a tricky piece to make. I mean, yeah. I mean, you could slit cut the bottom and then just roll it under, and it would do the same thing. I may end up doing that because this edge is the only part. This is rolled all the way under. Okay, this part is, and this part right here, from here to here, this little part right here is curved a little bit. So I could put that to be flat. Okay, this doesn't need to be much curve. And then this part I could just slit cut and then just make it bend the corner. We'll probably do it that way. So anyway, it's a tricky piece. These are, you know, doing one of these little patches, they go, oh, there's a little patch right here. It's like, these can take as long as like doing half of a nose or something like that, you know, just doing this little patch. These are really take time. So I just cut a piece out like that and bent this edge. I used my bender, but you could use a pair of duckbill pliers to do it. Now I'm going to shrink a little bit right here to start the curve. I'll bring that back in a second. So you can see here I got the curve. All I did was just shrink this with this Harbor Freight stretcher shrinker. Now I've got this part done, but I need to do some more relief cuts in here. Like I said, it doesn't have a weld edge in the bottom. It has a weld edge about this angle on this portion. So I've got to make a mark here. Right here, about right there. I need a relief cut. Need one right about there. Right about there, maybe. Like that. I could shrink it more, but like I said, it doesn't matter. It's got to get rolled underneath anyway. So get on that. All right, we got it close enough. All I got to do is just start welding it. I'll weld it in over here where my thumb is. Probably butt that in. Maybe I'll clamp this side in. And then if I have to, I'll just cut that back in there when I get to that part. Weld the top edge of that. Flap it over. Tap it in. Do a little filler, we're done. It's got a little bit of a high-low there. You can fix that with a little bit of filler. The rest I'm just going to fill up and call it good. A little bit of stuff in here. Once that gets filler on it, you won't even be able to ever see there was a patch there when I'm done. All right. All right, so we got base on all this. I went ahead and not do anything fancy. So the next thing I'm going to do is on my blend areas. On these I'm not going to worry about. They're not even going to be in the sun. There's not going to be anything on those. I'm sure we won't have any problem with delamination. A lot of guys get all freaked out about that. But if you use good products, usually there's no issue with that stuff. So anyway, here we go. Don't use Finish 1 or something like that. I've seen a lot of guys on YouTube using Finish 1. I'm like, man, what that stuff is such garbage. So right here, I blended. You can see the area kind of blended up. I don't even really notice it, but I'm going to shoot this. This is a spot blender, they call it. And what we're going to do here, this will just soften this up a little bit. Get a hair sticky so that also it'll help the color bite in where I blended it. It's not really very properly sanded. there, but it's fine usually. As long as it's clean. I usually do is a little steel wool, 4-0 steel wool on that area. So anyway, I'm gonna shoot clear on here a little while. I have to let this completely dry because this is single stage urethane. It needs to be, it's too sticky right now. It needs to be, that's where the pad goes. Okay, just so you know. That little, this thing here, bay window pad thing, or late bay. So I've let this dry pretty good. So I'll be back here in about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm just shoot the clear on. There's so much jumping around. It's too hard for me to film, to stop, move cameras, and then try and concentrate on getting no runs and stuff like that. So I don't know if I showed you guys, I did not paint right here in the middle. I only painted, kind of blended a little bit, like right in there, it's the same. So, I mean, that looks damn well same color. So anyway, but down here, but if you can see the difference, there's a difference here and here, is because this is like old paint and this has clear over old paint, and it brings out the color more correctly. So yeah, so that's really tight. Let's see how this looks over here. So this is dry, and that's like did one dry coated clear, and then just a really super dry, and then like really like a one coat of clear, 1.5 I guess. And we'll put these on. So yeah, I said, if in hindsight, if I knew how good this was going to turn out and that we were doing the whole thing, then, and we were going to buff it and everything else,